Call the Finance and Administration meeting to order. If you would, please, you want to call the roll?
Director Sloss? I'm here. Director Howard? I'm here. Director Pacho?
Here.
Director Guzman? Director Kennedy? Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. First presentation item will be our CFO, Gray Lewis. Financial summary update, please.
All right, thank you. Good morning to the committee. Appreciate the opportunity to provide an update on April financials and then the current events. Quite a few things going on. We're working with the audit right now in the last couple weeks of that process, going through get the draft report. So going along pretty well so far. And also been working with the legislative billing items or bills that impact utility billing. And that's the House Bill 965, temporary fixed rate billing, which is no true up. So that we're working with Cogsdale to get the software designed so that would be the option for residential customers that's been put into law. And that's a temporary basis until they have a smart meter installed. The other bill, House Bill 525, beginning January 1, 2025, there's no longer estimated billing of consumption. So we're planning for that. And that would, again, be just customers that don't have smart meters, and they would be billed to ready to serve. And then the following month with an actual read would be consumption for like a 60-day period, for example. So that would be to address that new law.
Great. The fixed rate component, that's because it's going to take more time to install the total number of smart meters needed?
No, as I understand the spirit of the law, Representative Hilferty asked the utility to look at the recent average the customer has been paying and just bill that as a fixed charge to the customer. And then once the smart meter is installed, it would go back to a consumption-based. So it's sort of addressing a period of time where there's still a manual meter for that customer that would have to be read manually every month. And if they elect to take the fixed option, then there's not going to be any sort of guesswork in what their monthly bill is. It's going to be that historical average. So.
But why would we read the meters if we're not going to bill based on a read?
For reporting purposes, we track, water delivered and those type of things, and
okay,
that's the primary reason.
One more thing on that. So there's going to be some variation between what the averages were and what the final read would be for the period that they were billed at by average.
I'm sorry.
A true up or not?
No, not a true up.
Saying that properly?
There would not be a true up. No.
Okay, great.
Gray, do the opt-in?
It's like the Chad's here. Sorry.
Yes, it would be on an opt-in basis, so it's at the ratepayer's choice that they elect to do this.
And how long does it take to get this up and rolling?
We currently looking at 120 days was listed in the bill, so that would be from now, basically the end of May to end of September to notify the customers of the option. That's what's written into the law.
Okay, and then the meters are supposed to be in by when? All of them?
End of 25, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of
On the April financials, I want to highlight for the committee, our revenue is $21.6 million for the operating revenues, water and sewer, a little below budget. So we are expecting with the summer months, the hotter months, we typically catch up on revenue relative to the cooler months. So we're trailing budget year to date on water and sewer revenues. Drainage taxes for the month of April were 3.9 million. This is driven based on the extension we were allowed to pay property taxes by March 15th rather than January 31st. So we're seeing sort of the timing impact of that. Should catch up in June, May and June. Operating expenses, 26.8 million. We're trailing the budget of 33.5 million. So we continue to expect the emergency expenses to come up throughout the year. So we'll continue to monitor. So for really the bottom line, we're at the revenues less adjusted expenses for April is 45.7 million, which is used for our debt service and capital program. On collections, the May numbers was 23 million, so that was up, that was good. from the recent averages. We attribute that to the Promise Pay software payment plan has been a useful tool, we believe, for customers. We have had 3 million collected since inception at the beginning of February, and there's 21 million committed by ratepayers to future payment plans. So going pretty well. And receivables, we're showing here the numbers went up in the past due 60-day category, primarily with investigations get closed, they get moved over into just regular past due receivables. We still have the 25,000 customers roughly in our project to start with a consultant to look at the sort of a forensic study of the most oldest and the largest individual residential customers. We're hoping to get that started in the next couple of weeks. We have a contract. We have a contractor we're working with in the draft stages. So very anxious to get that started because really the numbers are kind of similar to what we've been seeing in recent months. As we close investigations, we could see a tendency for the number to go up.
And what is the consultant supposed to be doing, Gray? Just come up with a program, or are they the
To
collectors?
programmatically evaluate different buckets of customers, explaining, how long they've been in arrears, how did they get there, what was their one significant outlier bill situation, so that we can address them in some programmatic fashion.
When we settle a dispute, the clock has been running from when the last time the bill was paid. In other words, what I'm trying to get at is, so if the dispute is settled on June 1, it could already be 120 days old or whatever.
Yeah, but we've set it aside during that dispute period to say we're not doing collection activities, but once the dispute is over, then we.
And my question really was, so you could look at it and say it's really not over 60 days because it was just settled yesterday. It's 1 day old. And I don't know if we track that at all, or if that's not worth bothering with.
Yeah, that's true. I guess the important distinction is to make sure that once it goes, it's considered a non-disputed balance. It's subject to normal collections. And I think the customer probably may point out, well, if I need another 30, 60 days because whether we offer payment plans to any customer, so we can work with customers on that type of timing issue, needing more time to pay. I want to highlight the average days of complete investigation was 97. It came down from the March number that was in the end of April for those closed investigations. So again, this is a continue to work. This is a primary focus area, working with Renee and Susanna every day on this. Really, this is the arrearages by customer class and size. It has gone up in the residential. So again, there's roughly 9,000 customers that owe more than $1,500 or more. So we're again asking customers to utilize the Promise Pay software, try and get back on track. On the dashboard, our cash on hand continues to be above the threshold required. It was 192 for water, 182 for sewer at the end of April. And bottom there, I want to highlight the line at the bottom, total number of disconnects for the month, 1,160, was 40 greater than April of 23. On debt, we have 2 loans closing in the next week or so that relate to the sewer state revolving fund, the $38.9 million for the wastewater treatment plant, and then a smaller $5 million loan that will support the smart metering program. And then we have 2 other loans with LDH that we've done the first round of approvals. We're planning for the second and final approvals later this summer. And that's for the lead and copper rule large loan of $84 million and another $5 million for smart metering by the water state revolving fund. And capital improvement plan, just a couple of change orders. There's one that I show listed here that was adjusted downward. It's not 1.4 million. It's going to be 726,000 related to the JIR program. So no major change orders that are impacting our CIP plan this year to report.
Good.
And wanted to just highlight to the committee for capital appropriations and disbursements, we had sort of normal routine activities with the active programs. And for federal grants, we had 2.8 million reimbursed for the JIR program, so we continue with those grants. The customer service side, again, Renee's team works with us every day, but we had over 50,000 customers served in April and May. We're seeing an uptick, I think, with the smart metering program and just the volume of projects we have and media attention. Continue to see high customer service volume metrics. This is the graphs. And then on this slide, I did want to highlight, this is our total number of bills, which were 156,000, a little over that for the month of April. It was a higher number of estimated bills. This is indicating the actuals was only 39% of those total bills, and this is attributed to the rain events in April and other staffing challenges with meter reading. So again, that's a focus area because of this new law change, and then we're talking with Renee and the team. We'll actually meeting because as we get closer to this January 1 with no estimated, and we have more customers on smart meters, we'll plan to shift meter reading resources such that we would start reading every month rather than the alternating strategy to be able to address the fact that we cannot bill estimated consumption. And of course, as we all know, the estimation just causes customer angst and volatility about how it's calculated, how true-ups work. So it continues to be a focus area. And I think.
Can I ask a question? Gray, how come we've never been able to get to the 50%? What's going on for the reads?
I think, the individual weather events and the staffing, that the attainment of 50%, I don't know, Renee, if you want to add anything to that, is that never going to be, quote, 100% or 50%? So we're kind of working against the natural challenges that go along with the meter reading.
And this is the inability to hire people?
Yes, and the difficulty of the job, the conditions, all those things.
What do we pay meter readers?
Yeah. Those are all the formal remarks.
How much do we pay meter readers?
15, 16.
Why don't we pay more?
Yes.
Yeah, I think the long-term solution, the smart metering program with the manual program is the same challenges, and I think all the focus and investment has been into the new updated technology. So happy we're sort of on that path, but
We're constrained by civil service in a lot of places, not just meter readers.
right.
So we can't pay more because of civil service? Is that the?
Renee, do you want to add?
There's been collaboration in the past with civil service to create incentive programs. This is even before my time here.
Right.
But they were inefficient, ineffective. I think at this time, given the pace of smart metering installation, we're already at 12-13%, I believe, of all meters. Nothing's unlimited, right? So resource allocation right now, in my opinion, should continue to be geared more towards the new technology.
Right,
Than
solution.
investing in the old one or the old ways and then having to come up with ways to, every day there's less need for manual reads.
Right.
I think that, when we see this, though, I guess the assumption for myself, I'm waiting to see, as we are having great success installing smart meters, we are freeing up labor hours in manual reads, right? At least that's the thought process as I understand it. And so we're looking for a correlating trend, right? And I think we have to be able to answer if that trend is not showing up. And so that's the answer that I'm looking for.
Yeah, and what's happening is that I guess to answer your question specifically, it's about the design of the replacement of the meters and the routes, right?
Mhm.
So the way that the replacement plan was designed was in a way to ensure that every route that gets replaced, that the meters get replaced by route in a way that it's efficient, so we can start freeing up resources on the meter reading side, right? To either increase the number of reads every month, the actual reads, or to assign some of those now surplus at some point.
Right.
Surplus resources to bill investigations, rereads, locates, that sort of thing.
I guess that's what we're looking for, right? And so I want to be well equipped to address that when I get those questions, because we're doing really well in implementation, I feel, right?
We did have, can we go back a slide? Was it the one back with, so we billed 156,000 bills, which is the highest number I recall seeing, frankly, in the last 7 or 8 years, whatever it's been. And I don't know if the denominator has gotten uncharacteristically large, but for whatever reason. I just noticed that's a big number. I'm not trying to make an excuse, but
No, but I'm looking for answers. So if that's it, yeah, I just want to
I
hear
bet
it.
that plays into it or not.
Why
you know.
would there be, is that because of billing cycle differences? A year, number of days in a cycle?
Timing of the billing cycles, 20 different billing cycles. So
So,
I've been looking to always keep the number at least 140 or more. If you looked at this chart going back a year or two ago, we would have dips way down, up, down, up, down. So the consistency in the total bills is one thing. Meter reading, that's another. But we hear the feedback, and I think it's a excellent point. We're showing how resources that are being freed up because of smart reading are getting allocated and attacking these other problems.
We're not at a point, it's too early in the process to be able to tangibly,
Yeah, that's fair.
say that, but I think we're going to get there pretty soon within the next couple of months.
Okay.
And it is all about fluctuations, like Gray said. And I know we already moved on from this slide, but I do want to comment on the fixed billing question from
Yeah.
Director Peugeot. So the intent of the bill, or of Representative Hilferty's bill, is to minimize the fluctuations or eliminate the fluctuations that are a result of that combination of actual reads and then estimated reads, right? So customers see, if you were to graph the customer's bill, it would look like this. And with fixed billing, not to be confused with level billing. So fixed billing, you'll get an average amount, on average, and it'll be a fixed amount for customers to pay every month, exactly the same amount. It's an opt-in, so customers have to take action and opt in, and there is no true-up. So the difference between fixed billing and level billing is that, and level billing is a term that is used industry-wide, but there's a true-up every year, at least, right? Even I think Entergy offers a level billing program. With fixed billing, it'll be a fixed amount, and then once you get your smart meter, that will end, and then you'll get your regular bill every single month.
That would be my follow-up question. When will it end? So once they get the smart meter,
Then, yeah, you will be charged your actual consumption.
That's right.
okay, thanks.
when will it end, Joe? When will it end?
The smart meters, do they have the ability to shut off the water if someone's in arrears without going out to the place?
For I think it's 5 or 6% of the meter population, yes.
Only 5 or 6%?
Yes, those meters are more expensive than the regular meters, the meters that have a remote turn on and turn off function. But we have a plan to, if the circumstances justify that a certain address have a remote turn on and turn off, then we will.
But in terms of, is it something that makes sense to have? Maybe it's too late to even talk about it in terms of, given our arrearages.
We talked about it. We found there was a $200 delta per meter. And there was a sound evaluation process to get to the 6%.
Right, that it will drive the cost of the project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Way up, okay.
Randy, just one final question.
But there are smarter meters.
Do we still have any major issues with tampering? smart meters?
We have some issues with tampering. We've always had issues with tampering like any other utility. We have a policy for tampering that we haven't historically really enforced, which is going to change with smart meters. We're actually currently working on an updated policy for tampering specifically for smart meters. We actually have to update numerous policies that have to be changed as a result of the new technology. A simple example is right now, the process when you have a bill dispute calls for, and it says on the policy or the rules and regulations that, we'll review the account and then we'll send someone out to get a reread, right? That doesn't have to happen with smart meters. We don't have to send anyone out. We just push a button, we get an automatic read. So the policies are being revised as we speak. We'll have those policies within the next 2-3 weeks.
That's all we had. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. All right, we have action items. So we will proceed the first two IT action items individually. First of which is our 111-2024 renewing the Microsoft license agreement.
Good morning.
Morning.
The first R111-2024 is a renewal of the Microsoft Enterprise License Agreement. This is a renewal of a 3-year Microsoft agreement, covers any Microsoft licenses across the board for all of our employees. It covers August 2024 through 2027, and it includes email access for all of our employees, Office 365, server, and backup licenses.
How many licenses are there?
Well, in Microsoft being an ELA, there's a number of different licenses, but we issue email for
Sorry,
every employee.
How many are we buying?
Well, it depends on the type of license. So for
Most common type.
email would probably be our most common type. So we have one for every employee. Every employee, no matter what their job title is, they get an email address for access. We do have Office 365 for all of our computer-bound employees as well. So those are probably the most common access.
So it's like what, 1,300 or something?
Well, it's 1,300, and then every contractor that works within our network that needs an Active Directory account to access the network also has a web license as well. Now, they don't get an Office 365, they get a little bit lower level for email access. But this is servers as well, backups, the Veeam backups and things like that as well.
Thank you. Take that separately?
Yes.
All right, is there a motion to approve renewal of Resolution R111-2024, Microsoft Enterprise License Agreement?
So move.
Second.
Moved properly seconded. Is there any discussion about that? No. Is there any public comment?
No public comment,
No
Chair.
public comment. All in favor, please so signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have R112-2024, authorization for amendment number 5 to the maintenance and support agreement between the Water Board and Cogsdale Corporation.
So for R112-2024, we have a renewal of our bucket of hours. This is additional support hours for Cogsdale for their assistance with large projects, any kind of development that they have. We just completed our first 3 years of the bucket, so this is basically a renewal of that bucket. There is an increase of hours for this next set of 3. With all of the larger projects, we have implementation with the new Oracle. We have to design integrations with the new Oracle financial system. Obviously, the flat rate will roll into this as well. So we required kind of a little bit bigger bucket for this year.
And integration is between the smart meter data?
Most of that has already been completed. So the smart meter is already in production. The new customer portal is in the final stages of integration now.
When will that be done? A lot of questions, sorry.
Well, go live for the new customer portal, I believe, is scheduled for August, maybe of this, September.
So
Yeah.
we're in the last phases of integration, not deployment.
Correct. So integrations will probably be rolled, I believe UAT is getting ready to start, so the integration should be in a test phase probably within the next month, and then roll to production shortly before go live.
It's a little bit unusual. Is there a way that there could be, is there, I guess, a test environment where the directors can see what this looks like?
For the customer portal specifically talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Play around with it.
I think in the smart meter presentations, they've talked a little bit about it, but maybe let's take that back to Becca Johnsey and see about how we can
Don't want to make it really
display the
expensive.
customer portal. Because it's quite a big change from the existing Silver Blaze as our customer portal currently. This is a lot of more bells and whistles on the new one, so.
Okay. Is that the report? Can I have a motion to approve Resolution R112, 2024, authorization for amendment number 5 to maintenance and support agreement between Sewage and Water Board, New Orleans and Cogsdale Corporation?
Second.
Moved properly seconded. Is there any discussion about it? No, I'm looking forward to it all being done, I can tell you that. Is there any public comment?
No public comment, Chair.
Public comment. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks very much. Next, we will have Steve Nelson present the General Superintendent's recommendations. Steve.
Very good. We have a relatively light agenda this morning. 2 contract change orders by ratification, 2 contract amendments, and 1 final acceptance. We'll talk through the contract change orders first. The first is Resolution R095, 2024. This is the ratification of change order number 1 for contract 30227, Mid-City Basin, number 1, sewer rehabilitation work between the Sewerage and Water Board of New Orleans and Fleming Construction LLC. This is work related to sewer rehab in order to meet our consent decree deadlines. This change order is in the amount of $113,634.32 and represents 2.8% of the original contract value. This contract was completed already, so this should be the final change order we see on this project. The second change order is under Resolution R096, 2024. This is ratification of change order number 2 for contract 30228. This is also in the Mid-City Basin, number 2, sewer rehabilitation. This is also between the Sewerage and Water Board of New Orleans and Fleming Construction LLC. This change order represents $96,060.51, or 0.5%, and brings the total change order value to 3.6% on the contract as a whole. Are there any questions on the change orders?
So, I have a resolution to approve resolutions 095, 2024 and 096, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Is there, excuse me, is there any discussion? Is there any public comment?
No public comment, Chair.
In that case, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We have 2 contract amendments. And Steve, I think you're still on that, right?
Perfect. 2 contract amendments. Both of these are related to the FEMA program and FEMA-funded work. The first is Resolution R094, 2024. This is amendment number 8 to the agreement between the Sewerage and Water Board of New Orleans and Integrated Logistical Support, Inc., or ILSI, for design and engineering services for the waterline replacement program. This represents a number of different RR projects across the city of New Orleans. It includes $726,374.59 and includes final design services as well as support during construction. The second amendment falls under Resolution R098, 2024. This is amendment number 11 between the agreement between the Sewerage and Water Board of New Orleans and Meyer Engineers LTD for design and engineering services for the waterline replacement program. This is also our FEMA-funded waterline replacements. This is services during construction and design and totals $235,000.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve Resolution 094, 2024 and 098, 2024?
So moved.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? No discussion. Any public comment?
No public comment, Chair.
In that case, all in favor, please so signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, bringing us to final acceptance of Resolution R099, 2024.
We have one final acceptance this morning. It's Resolution R099, 2024. This is final acceptance of contract ESFM 001, 2023. This closes out the contract between the Sewerage and Water Board and Bow Brothers Construction LLC in the amount of $598,575, as well as change order number 1 and change order number 2 in the amounts of $330,395 and $53,664. This is related to the sewer force main break at Station D, if we recall that from last summer. That work has long since.
If D slipped our mind, where is that?
So that was where we had to pump sewage to the river. We had the issue with the 60-inch force main coming out of the pump station that blew up near Central Yard. So at Peoples, I'm sorry, Station D is at the intersection of Peoples and Florida Canal, out by Elysian Fields.
Thank you very much. Great. So may I have a motion to approve R099, 2024?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, is there any discussion? Is there any public comment? All in favor, please so signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. We have in our packet the usual information items. Please peruse those at your leisure. Is there any public comment? Again, why
I
do we
have
have
a
that?
question.
Excuse me, go ahead.
Steve, do we have any idea of when or what the plan is going to be or the timeline relative to Sewage and Water Board taking over the responsibility for catch basins?
So Senate Bill 305, my understanding it has passed, but I don't know that the governor has signed it yet. Have you heard, Yolanda? Has the governor signed that as yet?
Yeah, the governor has signed it.
Okay, the governor has signed it. We're in some very active and productive discussions with the city and the state on funding. My understanding is there will need to be a CEA that takes place in order for us to be able to obtain the funding, but we're already working internally to be able to stand up leadership and equipment to take that on.
But Steve, has the responsibility transferred without the CEA, or is it still with the city? This is a confusing period.
To be
not
honest,
transferred.
as an engineer, I'm not entirely sure. That's a legal,
Oh.
a legal question.
It has not transferred. yet.
Okay.
So the CEA will have to be executed first?
Not, no, the responsibility, but there's CEA, we need the CEA for the monies to be transferred.
My understanding, there's a number of funding sources for the combination or consolidation of the drainage, and those CEAs will have to be done in order for us to get those monies. But we're waiting for the authorities or the entities that are going to be funding this consolidation to discuss that with them.
But that's a slightly different issue, the transfer of the funding. I'm talking about the transfer of the responsibilities. Has that happened without the transfer of the
Yes.
funding?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was afraid.
If there's no, are there any other questions, any other discussion? In that case, I'd like a motion, please, to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.